Tea time. Welcome everybody, Souldin of the Grin brothers here, and it's time for another episode of Tea Time. Now then, for today's tea we have cherry Bakewell, and oh gosh, you can definitely smell the cherry from it. Like I got it out of the packet and whoosh, cherry flavour immediately. It's been in that box for a long while and gosh. And the tea itself brewed, lots of cherry flavour coming from it. It's a green tea. Brew time recommendation is only 2 minutes. Apparently it starts to lose its flavour after being brewed for longer than 2 minutes. So that's why I've brewed it up to. And the brand is what I always used to think was Twinnings, but I've noticed that there is not a second N here. So it's actually Twinings. Twining. A twining tea, this is. Information on it: a sweet and comforting tea with an almond cherry taste inspired by the English favourite, cherry Bakewell. Let me just move the book out of the way and we'll begin the tea time. Maybe I should bring up an example of what cherry Bakewell is for people outside of the UK. In any case, this tea time is actually one I've had in storage for a while. I've written up a long time ago, certainly before Christmas, because I had planned to make this one of the Christmas tea times. But I guess other topics ended up coming to mind instead. So this has ended up being saved for now. And I have been struggling with a title for this tea time, so I guess I'll do the quick and simple title, but if I thought of a better title, then please have it show up here. For today's tea time, I shall be talking about the Wii U Drought. And more specifically, games I wouldn't have tried without a drought. Yes, I'm actually going to, I'm not going to say defend the Wii U Drought. Nintendo should have been prepared. They should have seen that HD development was going to take a lot more manpower, and they should have prepared things in time for the whole fact that they would have to develop games for two different systems, the 3DS and the Wii U. It's why the Switch has had a better output. It's because they're not having to make games for both the 3DS and the Wii and the Switch anymore. The Wii U, on the other hand, had to struggle with that at the same time as struggling with the fact that they weren't used to HD. They weren't prepared for having to double up the amount of people, as well as how much more time it takes to work on HD games. But I'm not going to defend that. They should have solved that effectively before they got round to it, or done better to prepare for it. However, I will say there is a positive. There is a silver lining to the cloud here. And that is, there are many games that I might not have tried if it wasn't because of a drought. Now, the first example I can think of is Legacy Undercover. I was, like, the launch title I wanted for the Wii U was Wonderful 101. Turns out it wasn't available at launch. Instead, I spent my time playing Nintendo Land and Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed. Fantastic games. But by the time February was coming around, I wanted a new game. Originally, I had planned to get Rayman Legends. Then that got delayed, so I instead opted for Legacy Undercover. You know, that's kind of the thing. I would never have gone Legacy Undercover if there were more options to choose from. At the time, I was interested in getting Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge because I'm a fan of the Dead or Alive series, but I never did find that for some reason. Instead, I found Legacy Undercover easy to find. I decided to support it, bought the game, and I actually really enjoyed it. It's since been beaten out of my top 12 favourite Wii U games by all the many other wonderful Wii U games that were made, but it's one I considered quite highly. Sure, loading times were long and all that, but it was simple, it was enjoyable, the story was very humorous and funny, and I had a lot of fun playing it. So, kudos, you know, for instance, in a normal situation, I wouldn't have considered it. Like, it's a Lego game, I wouldn't have considered it highly on my priority. There would have probably been other Nintendo-made games that would have grabbed my interest more in a typical situation. The whole drought situation didn't occur with, say, the Wii, for instance, and there was a lot of Nintendo Wii games that I ended up missing out on. Partly because of my ignorance of the situation, I didn't know where to find them or when they'd come out, but also because there was so many other more popularized games and more pushed in front of me sort of games to choose from, as well as the fact that I was, you know, spread out across several systems. The Wii U Drought, for instance, you know, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker was a game I already owned on the GameCube. I've already played on the GameCube. But because of the drought situation, there weren't many other options to choose from. So I ended up getting The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD, even though I already own the game. And I'm so glad I did, because The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is below A Link to the Past in terms of my favourite Zelda games, but Wind Waker HD pushes it just above. It became my favourite Legend of Zelda game. The Sure, the tingle tuner being absent is a very disheartening situation, but the benefits the Wii U version had with its Miiverse and Tingle Bowl features, the improved sailing, and just the general feel of the gamepad and how I could quickly swap between things using the gamepad, the gyro motion controls, all those sort of things enhanced the experience in a way that I could have easily missed out on. Another thing I would have never considered before, I would have never considered getting digital games before. Like, digital gaming? Oh, gosh, no. Like, and to be fair, I still avoid digital gaming to a degree. I try to avoid digital gaming where I can. I try to get physical, even if it's a much higher price. I mean, heck, if I could choose between a £5 digital game and a £60 physical game, I would go for the £60 physical game of the same game. That's how much dedication I have to physical gaming. But there are some games which were digital only that I ended up trying out and I really enjoyed. Nehalem in particular was a game that I would have never considered before, but due to the drought, I ended up picking it up. I love the game. It's an absolutely wonderful puzzle platformer that I hope to have Rafi play with me on Grin Brothers at some point. Also partially because, and I guess I'll tease this for when I mention it to Rafi, he doesn't watch these tea times, so I'm actually featured on Nehalem's website. I can't remember the name of the studio. I'll bring up the studio's name, of course. I made an artwork for Nehalem on Miiverse, and I then uploaded that artwork to DeviantArt, and they featured me on their website with the artwork, which is amazing. A little cute little drawing of board. Just a simple one, because, of course, I'm not exactly a talented artist, but yeah, I'm actually featured on Nehalem's website, which is terrific, yeah. That's also kind of why I want to play through the game on Grin Brothers to kind of show it off. And yeah, it's a truly spectacular game that I might have completely missed out on because I would have, if I could had an influx of physical games to choose from, I would have ignored the eShop entirely. Likewise, I was finally pushed to purchase Shantae and the Pirate's Curse because of a digital sale going on, but if there were other games taking my interest at the time, I wouldn't have gone and got Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Of course, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, it was fantastic. I actually loved the game. And, that's the sort of thing that could have easily been avoided on. And Shantae and the Pirate's Curse and Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD and Legacy and Echo, these are the type of games that I've played previously and have enjoyed, as in the style of game. But then there are games which of genres that I would have never thought to have played. Watch Dogs is totally not my kind of game, but there weren't huge options at the time. The Wii U had a drought. There was not many other games to choose from, really. I got Watch Dogs, and oddly enough, I had a really fun time with Watch Dogs of all things. I mean, sure, yeah, the cars grinded to a halt whenever it rained, and oh gosh, the car physics was absolutely terrible, but I had a lot of fun with the game. I felt a lot of joy with it. I really enjoyed being able to sort of hack things and destroy, take care of all my opponents without ever once being spotted, sort of thing. And its gritty, more realistic style, its open world gameplay is not the sort of thing I normally like, so it's the sort of thing I typically avoid. But again, drought. The drought limited my choices. And by limiting my choices, it expanded my horizons. I tried out Watch Dogs, and more importantly, I tried out Project Zero Maiden of Blackwater. I would have never tried out a horror game before. I tried out a horror game. Project Zero Maiden of Blackwater is not only one of my favourite video games of all, it's my second favourite Wii U game. It's also got my favourite female protagonist in it, in Yuri Kozukata. I absolutely love her. She's my waifu. And, again, I could have easily passed her. Again, with the digital thing, Child of Light. Child of Light's my favourite game on the Wii U, but it's a digital-only game. I could have easily missed out on that, but the drought forced me to be less specific with my choices to, broaden what I would allow and accept. I accepted digital games. I accepted horror games. I accepted, a Ubisoft open-world game, and I found a lot of fun with them. And again, and since then I've actually been more trying to pick a greater diversity of games. I collect Wii games, and now I'm just not thinking of just the Wii games that I know I'd like. I'm thinking of Wii games that look good or other people have mentioned have been good, and I'm considering, should I try this out? Games I look for on Xbox One and such, and even at E3 time, I look at them and I don't immediately think, oh, I wouldn't enjoy this game. Oh, this isn't my sort of genre. I actually go ahead and consider for a long time, like I've recently picked up Gun Pixies. That's a third-person shooter, not really my cup of tea, but, I've picked up and I've been having a fun time with it, Because the drought forced me to try out a great diversity of games. It, forced me out of my comfort zone, and that's actually been a great benefit to me. So, whilst the drought was annoying, whilst it was annoying not seeing the typical favourites, and whilst there wasn't as great of a selection, having less of a selection actually has in turn allowed me to have a greater selection in future, in that now that I'm more willing and keen to try out other games. Let's see, Darksiders isn't a game I actually played yet, but it is, or Darksiders 2, because I'm waiting on a external hard drive to actually play them on my Wii U. But again, it's a game I wouldn't have considered before. I've picked it up, ready to play. My 12th favourite a Wii game that I really enjoy, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, I only tried it out because of the Wii U's backwards compatibility. I bought it roughly around the time of Legacy Undercover, maybe before or after it. I saw the special edition with the sort of CD soundtrack in it, and I didn't have many other Wii U games, but because Wii U backwards compatibility, I thought I can still play that and enjoy it through the Wii U's backwards compatibility. So the drought wasn't even that big of an issue, because I ended up playing a lot of older Wii games as well, sort of picking some up and trying them out, and of course it's helped expand my Wii collection, which I was planning to collect for anyway, but hey yo. Other things, of course, and heck, it isn't even just specifically for the Wii U itself. There are other games I could consider that I might not have tried out if I didn't. I mean, on a negative side, I probably wouldn't have tried Legend of K, without a Wii U Drought. If I wasn't, thinking, I should try this game, and I would have been spared much pain from not having never ever experienced Legend of K. But there's some negatives, of course, to a drought. Naturally, of course, you don't get to pick out your usual favourites. Like, I didn't get a traditional Kirby platformer. I got Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. It was a very fun game, I will admit, just not what I kind of wanted. And, but yeah, I also tried out games on other systems. I went to the trouble of getting Gravity Rush on the PS4. I'm not a big fan of the PS4, but I was keen on Gravity Rush, and the push of not having other games to play on my main system led me to, trying out Gravity Rush. And I really like the game. Cat's a wonderful protagonist. Likewise, I ended up getting interested in Xbox One because of exclusives they had, but I wouldn't have been tempted by that if I didn't have spare time with the Wii U. And so I ended up, through a competition, winning an Xbox One game, and thanks to the crystal white Xbox One with Sunset Overdrive, picked up an Xbox One. And, again, I broadened my horizons a bit. Again, that was a third-person shooter with Sunset Overdrive. Project Spark was a creation game. There's a lot of things, that I, again, wouldn't have considered naturally. And I kind of, ended up experimenting more with my taste, and I feel that I'm now more keen to try out other games. And I have a lot, and ironically, I can thank having a lack of games for that. And again, some of these games that I tried out that I would have previously, sort of looked aside and tried out other games, typically Nintendo exclusive, Nintendo-made games sort of thing. I ended up loving to bits. Again, the mentions of Child of Light, Project Zero, Nehalem, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD, these sort of games that are like sort of top billing for me, as it were. Yeah, that kind of sort of sells the main point, really. Yeah, the Wii U Drought had an unintentional benefit to it. Of course, the drought's never a good thing to have, but it also allowed me to, pick a more variety of games. And I ended up having a great... Oh, that was it. That was the other thing. Miiverse. I was content with ignoring Miiverse. That was just like a social chat system. But in my spare time, sort of thinking, not got much to do, I ended up checking out the Super Smash Bros. Community of Miiverse. And I got involved with Miiverse a lot, both in Super Smash Bros. With tons of questions and asking people and just browsing through every day. And then, of course, Layer the Nanka's Pokemon Miiverse Adventure. I have, to a somewhat significant part, the lack of Wii U games to thank for being so invested in the Wii U community and the culture, and, again, with Miiverse and making friends on it and everything. And, ironically, I would have been too busy playing said games if I had a huge amount of games that interested me. Because I didn't, I ended up actually making friends. That's kind of funny. And then, of course, that in turn also, through Miiverse, such as Tinglebow and Legends of Wind Waker HD, enhanced my Wii U experience. So, yeah, it's a really odd thing to think about, that a lack of games ended up improving the few games I did play, because it ended up increasing the choices, increasing how I used the Wii U through such things as Miiverse and all that. So, yeah, thank you for not having as many games. I mean, again, I would have preferred more games of the tickle my fancy, but and I could have always tried to experience them in a backlog. Like I said, I'm collecting Wii games, and I'm looking at ones that I've in hindsight thought, oh man, I'd have loved to try this game back then. So maybe I would have experienced them through many of them through that way if the Wii U didn't have a drought. But I'm looking on the bright side here of my past memories of the Wii U and thinking that, yeah, whilst the drought was kind of annoying, it had its merit. And yeah, have you ever been in an experience where you haven't had many games coming out that sort of interested you, and you ended up trying something out that you wouldn't normally pick up, or you instead got to invest more time in a game within your backlog or such? Went back and I haven't played this game, I haven't finished this game, I sat down with, I played Wonderful 101 to a good degree before, but I didn't finish it until 2-3 years after the game came out, because I had some spare time and I sat back down and finished it. And usually I wouldn't have tackled a backlog like that. I wouldn't have actually been able to find myself the time, because I'd been trying out so many new experiences. Instead, I actually found the time to go back and complete one of the experiences I already had. Stuff like that. I was actually... it was funny, I was going to end the tea time there, and that entire point just naturally spun out. Oh, yes. And before I can even try to end the tea time, the cherry Bakewell tea. Let's try this out. That's a lot more bitter. What? Okay, that's a lot more bitter than I thought of initially. The cherry flavour takes its time. It's sweet, sweet time. It's a nice taste. Not as strong as I was expecting, given the smell. But it's lingering for ages. Gosh! It gradually builds up, rather slowly, but the cherry flavour, yeah, again. So I guess to explain, let me take another sip just to... verify. It's very bitter at first. It reaches your mouth in your tongue and your taste buds and all that in a very bitter flavour. The cherry taste is a bit more gradual, but it's lingering for ages. There's a small cherry taste. It gets somewhat strong, not as strong as I was expecting. Maybe I accidentally went over by a few seconds. And this taste just lingers. It keeps going and keeps going. It's never stopping. It's not getting too much stronger anymore. But it's not running out. That's a very long-lasting taste. Quite nice. I do wonder what it'd be like with milk. Maybe another day. Maybe another day. So yeah, tell me if you've had any experiences with gaming droughts. Have this prompted you to expand your horizons and try new genres? Or go back and try and sort of finish games? Or try out games in your backlog that you never got around to? And if you specifically were part of the Wii U generation with your Wii U and all such, what was it like? What was it like, with when there was less games up in the release schedule, a lack of third parties and Nintendo being slower to release their own games? What was it like for you? What did you do in that situation? Did you try out other systems? Did you try out games you wouldn't normally, and all that sort of thing? Please feel free to share your thoughts on the Wii U drought, as it were. The time period where Nintendo's main system was really lacking in games. In any case, thank you for watching, and cheerio!